Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching rom-comedies. I'm Cory Kevin.
I'm Kevin Doyle. And you know what?
Huh.
Cory and I just had a discussion.
Yep.
We got a little suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten a number of suggestions and we're like, we're trying to figure out where to go next.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out how to keep ourselves on our toes, how to keep you on your toes, and how to go deeper into the world of love, romance, the world. And we wanted to see it from the eyes of an old and a young man.
That's right.
In another world.
That's right.
And so I guess this isn't exciting because people already read the thing. Damn it.
Yeah, but maybe you just started this and you're like, maybe you think it's you want to see love through the eyes of an old and a young man. And I bet you think we're doing Call Me By Your Name. But guess what? We're not.
Guess what? Hey, get your peaches out, folks.
That's right.
We're doing Call Me By Your Name, which we should do.
We should 1000% do Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a comedy.
It's a rom.
It's definitely rom.
Yeah, it's definitely a rom. We're doing Princess Bride.
We're doing The Princess Bride. That's right. This came up on a lot of lists as a rom-com, and I think it would be amongst some people debatable that it's a rom-com, but I don't think it's not a rom-com. I think it's a rom-com on an epic scale.
Yeah. We also we've gotten in the habit of saying rom-com, but we also talked in the very first episode of movies that we do rom-droms too.
Yeah, we do rom-droms. We're doing a rom-fant right now.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, this is what we've noticed when people write in and suggest movies. Please continue and thank you. And if you're a patron, go sign up for a Patreon. And also, when we read suggestions, they come from our patrons. So
yep. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of our.
This has been the Stutter Hour with Cory and Kevin.
And I'm back. I mean, our past movies have come from patrons.
Yeah.
The whole Julia Roberts thing we did came from patrons.
I mean, that's one of their...
And we had a lot of people say Princess Bride when we were doing initial asks.
And then we're trying to figure out what to do next. John's not here, and we were like... in kind of what you should do in your marriage, like you should still surprise your partner.
Totally.
And we thought, John's not here. Does that mean we try and get away with something, or does it mean that we try to think of that other person so when they come back, they feel... And I was like, dude, John's going to be so fucking hyped.
When we just say, John, for the next episode, you're going to have to catch up a little bit because Kevin and I already started The Princess Bride. He's going to be like, ooh.
You bad motherfuckers.
It's a rob-com too.
Yeah.
Directed by Rob Reiner. Yeah, it's a rob-com.
Now I have seen this movie.
I have seen this movie. How old were you when you saw this movie for the first time?
So I haven't seen it since I've probably seen it twice.
Okay.
And the first time that I saw it, I will say that it was like my uncle knew about it. And so my uncle was a big film buff, and I had seen...
He's a musician too, right? Filmy Buffett. Yeah.
Filmy Buffett.
Yeah. Wasting away again in the Cineplex. Filmy Buffett.
Filmy Buffett. Wait, what is it called?
Popcorn?
Damn it. No. Damn it. What's the Keenan and Kel movie? Good Burger in Paradise. Nice.
I was trying to think of one for Cheeseburger in Paradise. That's great.
So, I just remember he was like, there's a movie you got to see. He had to check it with my parents because it was like, it has some of the scary parts and stuff.
Right.
But I remember maybe this is one of the most vivid first time vivid like movie watching experiences as a child, because I'd never seen anything like it, and there still hasn't, I think, ever been anything like it. It's been copied, but it's like, this is one of the all-time greats.
That is one of the all-time greats. There was other fantasy stuff going on at the time. I forget when Never Ending Story came out, but like, this is the one that nails all the aspects. Yeah. And Never Ending Story has some like more childish nature to it. Like this really has like kind of adult themes. Yeah. Totally.
Right?
I mean, it's got the theme of love,
Yeah.
you know?
And that one guy in sexuality, because that one guy, isn't the whole idea like, it's like he's working with 6 fingers. Like imagine what he could do.
6-fingered man. Oh God. I think that's what it is. I think that's totally what it is. Did he kill his father by masturbating him to death?
Yeah.
You killed my father.
Yeah, you killed my
With your
father.
6 fingers.
Yeah.
Stacked movie.
Inconceivable.
I mean, one of our favorite guys,
Wallace Shawn?
Wallace Shawn,
Yeah.
from Sex and the City.
That's
the Bon Appetit critic from Sex and the City, and a million other things. Wallace Shawn is in this movie.
not a million other things. He was the fucking critic in Sex and the City, and he's the guy in Princess Bride,
and
and
he's
that's
also the teacher in Clueless,
yes.
which we have also done.
Okay, I have an idea for our studio.
What's that? Get an oil painting of Wallace Shawn. I'm in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should create, and it should look pretty,
Mm-hmm.
but we should just start building on this wall. All the like when we do it, we like write their name, we do it, and then we just do the little connection. And we build out the Sex and the City
Like
extended universe.
a Pepe Silva web.
Yes,
Like from
yeah,
It's Always Sunny.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I think and we can just keep on working it, and that just like connects
Yeah,
us
that's
to
just
the
gonna be
past.
The back wall. Yeah. The Sex and the City cinematic universe.
If you want, I would be open to having like us paint it.
Sure. Totally.
I don't know how we're gonna do
Can
that.
any of us paint?
No, we'll find a friend and we'll pay for a mural.
Yeah. I think what we do is we sketch it out either with pencil or we actually do it with the strings and connect the lines. And then we bring an artist in and have them just do a straight up painting of it on the wall made from that.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do a fresco?
Yeah.
Totally.
And then when I want to I think building that out is really funny because that on one, we are doing romance, we are doing stuff. And then you're like, oh yeah, all these people are all in all these movies.
Totally.
When we're just playing a gigantic game of like 6 Degrees from Sarah Jessica Parker.
Absolutely. I mean, and we've seen that Wallace Shawn's popped up in 2 of our rom-coms that we've done. I guarantee there's been other people that have popped up in, Donald Faison wasn't in there, but like there are other connections.
Yeah.
There's other connections.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. So for anyone that I actually think our listeners, thank you for listening. I hope that you're excited about Princess Bride and not like, what does this have to do? Because I think it totally does. This is a great romantic movie with the food critic from
the food critic. Yeah, exactly. The food critic from Sex and the City, who is also the teacher in Clueless. I thought of another one that you put today on our Instagram.
And he's like, I saw someone die just now.
Oh, what wine would pair well with this?
What wine would pair well with a coke addict dying?
One you put up on the Instagram today was You've Got Mail. The Zabar's cashier is Che Diaz.
Che Diaz.
There you go.
Unbelievable.
Inconceivable. Amazing.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. We're about to watch The Princess Bride. Katie, take it away.
The Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner. A fairy tale adventure about a beautiful young woman and her one true love. He must find her after a long separation and save her. They must battle the evils of the mythical kingdom of Florin to be reunited with each other. Based on the William Goldman novel, The Princess Bride, which earned its own loyal audience. And now, back to the boys.
All right, we are back.
Oh.
There's just something about seeing a truly great movie
That makes other movies so bad.
Like, just kind of a thing where you're like, even good movies that you like, you're like, this is just on another level.
I mean, I'm being 100% serious. You're like, if there's any reason to do this, to watch these movies,
Yeah.
it's to like learn, because even like every movie that we've watched, I've learned in a way that I'm like, man, it's crazy to go back and watch things that are so beloved and are so good. And I was like, we checked the time 10 minutes in. You're not even like, do I understand? You're just like fucking in it.
If you've seen this movie, if I say these words to you, I say inconceivable. I say the cliffs of insanity. The rhyming scene. I mean, the whole Fred Savage, is this a kissing book? And then also the, what is it? The flesh eating eels.
Yeah.
All that happens like 9 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. It's so quick, and and also you already care about the characters, not taken away from it, but it's like one of the ways they're able to do that is by like taking all the classic tropes, and it is a classic story.
Yeah.
So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but what you do have to do is you have to deliver the wheel in a way that is like this. I mean, Shrek doesn't hold up like that. I think Shrek is basically, well, all I'll say is this. There's just fucking, if this was on Disney Plus right now, a remake, even modern stuff, I could see them being like, let's do a classic story. Like there's somehow that it's like, there's a way that it's reached into the public conscious and people love it. And it's so many different things, from casting to writing to just having fun.
Yeah. It's like when we were watching it, we were saying, it's like you're watching a kid's movie and an adult's movie and a fantasy movie and a movie that's like winking at you, but also straight ahead at the same time. It's like you're reading a fairy tale. Yeah. Because it's based on a book that is like very fairy tale-esque.
Well, I think I can do the
recap. Do the recap of where we are.
So the recap is, the film is The Princess Bride, and I'm sure when you're going to see it, you're like, okay. And then it opens up on a boy, Fred Savage, who will be in the Wonder Years soon. He's sick from school. His grandpa's coming over, and his grandpa pinches his cheeks too hard and like creeps him out, which is another just slight realism that could be overlooked. That it's like, most of the time it's like, grandpa's here, or like, I love grandma. And even that, I was like, yeah, sometimes old people weird you out.
Totally.
And he comes over. He's wearing a Chicago Bears jersey. Shout out to John and my best friend's wedding for the Chicago connection.
Yep.
And she's like, grandpa's coming over, and he comes in, he has a book that's wrapped up, and he's like, I'm going to read you this book. She's like, there are sports in it. And he's like, my dad read me this book when I was like, I'm going to read it to you. And he's like, oh, books suck.
Yeah, totally.
And then opens up the book. They start going, and it goes right into Buttercup and
Wesley.
And
Wesley and Buttercup.
Yeah. And he's just as you wish. Yeah. She's like, will you go do this? And it's Robin Wright Penn.
Yep.
Hot.
Super.
Wesley.
Yep.
Hot.
Yep.
As you wish, doing that stuff. Then they fall in love. They kiss. He goes away. They kiss, and it's true.
Carrie Eels.
Carrie
Eels is Wesley.
And then they fall in love, and then he goes away and is killed. And then Robin Wright Penn says she'll never love again. And then quickly, Robin Wright Penn has to marry.
Well, she thinks he's killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robin Wright Penn has to marry the king, who I don't think is played by anyone famous. You would think. I'm sure he's like very successful.
I'm sure he's like Royal Academy of Dramatic Art or something like that. Yeah.
But what's cool is like right when Wesley and Buttercup kiss.
Oh my gosh! Wait, hold on. The king is. Oh, that was Denzel Washington. Oh my gosh! I didn't know.
So right when they kiss, all of a sudden you're brought back out, and Kevin from the Wonder Years is like, "Wait, is this a kissing book?"
So they're cutting between the story of the kid listening to the book and the actual story happening before your eyes.
And then all of a sudden, Robin Wright Penn is captured by three naughty boys: Andre the Giant, Wallace Shawn, who is of course, an observer to the death of Lexi Featherstone.
Yes, exactly.
And Mandy Patinkin, one of the all-time great musical theater actors in the history of theater.
Yes, and one of the main characters of Homeland.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And so they kidnap her, then they're on a boat, and then she's like, you're never going to get away from this. So it's like, you're kidnapping the king's wife.
Yeah.
Not cool. And then they're on a boat, and then she jumps off, and then there's a bunch of eels.
The flesh-eating eels.
That are going to eat her, and Wallace Shawn is there being like, well, boo-ba-dee-da-doo. I was the T-Rex in Toy Story.
You will hear them as they get closer because they're going to eat your flesh.
And also, I don't know if, this is very important. I'll tell you something about Wallace Shawn soon.
Yes.
So then Andre the Giant grabs her right before she's about to get eaten. And then Grandpa protects you again. That's like one of the fucking coolest parts of this book is it leads you up to like, holy shit. This is like a kid's movie.
Yeah.
This girl's about to get eaten. And then the grandpa says like, I bet you thought she was going to get eaten. She doesn't. And then you go back into it. So it allows them to go further into these like dark story moments.
Yeah, totally.
So Andre the Giant saves her. She's back on the boat. And then they're climbing up the side of a mountain.
Not just a mountain. The cliffs of insanity.
Oh boy.
Yep.
And they get up to the top.
She fell out a window. Lexi Featherstone?
Well, I heard she was on cocaine.
Doesn't anyone have any fun anymore in this town? Inconceivable.
New York used to be fun. And boy, oh boy, what goes good with this Rockfort? That's a cheese.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
An 8-ball of cocaine.
All right. If you're listening because you're just a movie fan and like, go listen to our Sex and the City episode.
There are Sex and the City episodes.
So so they're getting up to the top. They get up to the top. Then Mandy Patinkin and Wesley gets up behind. Wesley and Mandy Patinkin, who is the... who is he?
He's Inigo Montoya.
Oh yeah, Inigo Montoya.
He is a very skilled swordsman.
But he hasn't said that yet, right?
No, I don't think he's given his identity yet. You just know that he's a henchman with Wallace Shawn.
Yeah. So then him and Wesley have a good sword fight, and he's like, these scars, because he has these scars on his face. These scars are from this person who was a 6-fingered man who killed my father.
Yes.
And I observed it, and I have these scars on my face.
He utters the famous line that's famous throughout cinematic history now. Do you want to know where I got these scars? I got these scars.
The Dark Knight. So they sword fight.
Yeah.
Wesley gets away. Fights Andre the Giant, beats Andre the Giant, beats both the henchmen, and then has the last of the video game, has a wine off, which right now Cory and I are having a wine off.
One of these has
with a liter of wine.
Yes, one of these has poison in it, like it does in. Which one will it be?
Both of us are going to lose. No, both of us are going to win, which is drink great wine.
Because we've been building up an immunity to this wine.
Yeah,
for all the years,
for a long time,
all our years in New York City.
So, yeah, they're drinking this wine, and then he defeats Wallace Shawn, the T-Rex from Toy Story, who says, "Inconceivable." And
one of the funniest lines in all of it.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't outmatch you in strength, but I can fight you in a battle of wits. And he's like, oh, you could fight me in a battle of wits. And he says something like, are you smart? And he just goes, Aristotle? And he goes, have you heard of Aristotle? Plato?
Socrates?
And he goes, yes. Moron.
I wish John was here for that. So funny.
Such amazing comedic timing.
So he switches the wine because he's like a game of wits. It's kind of similar to like Gollum and The Hobbit, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, which one is the wine? Which one? Because he puts poison in one of the wines, and he says, which one will you choose? And then Wallace Shawn switches them.
Yep.
When he turns around, he's like, look. And then he switches them, drinks it, brags about how he didn't get it, and that is a very funny comedic death. If you're watching on YouTube right now, it looks like this.
Falls out of frame.
Falls out of frame.
Amazing.
And then we're brought up to where we're at. That's where we're at. We stopped at like the 35-minute mark.
Around 30
so
minutes.
watch along with us. And yeah, I mean, let's find a place to start. But the only thing I'll start with is I'm just like, what a fucking incredible film.
Yeah. I mean, that's the obvious place to start is what an amazing movie. I'll say this just because this is the Bradshaw Boys and we have gone on a journey of rom-coms. How do you think this is a rom-com? I know that we said we're going to do rom trads. We're in a rom fan, but where does this play in?
I would say like in this way,
it's The Princess Bride, so it's an incredible movie.
Yeah, but in this way that it's like kind of interesting that I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like, I mean, even having this thought, I clearly am just like, we've had 2 glasses of wine,
Mm-hmm.
but so much
We've had 2, but it's a liter of wine. Inconceivable.
inconceivable.
Yeah.
But in a very real way, these stories
Mm-hmm.
that we discuss and that a lot of people listen to and a lot of people discuss amongst their personal lives are these grand stories of love.
Mm-hmm.
Big and Aiden, and like
God, that season when Big and Aiden were dating.
we're and just
No, but you're right.
the lost season.
5B.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But those things that it's like, that is truly the dinner table conversation of the modern world that gives you the runway in order to talk about like your own life, that it's like, there's this crossroads I'm at, that it's like, there's this person who's safe, but this person that it's like, we have so much fun, but like, they don't make money, all these stories that are. And so I do think there's the beginning of this is like a kid who's sick and his grandpa. And the first thing to get you in is being like this maiden
Mm-hmm.
with this little farm boy. It's straight up like it's established from the beginning. They do in 1.5 minutes, they do Titanic.
It's kind of the beginning of my best friend's wedding.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, they were childhood friends who are now lovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's just like, she's at one place, he's at one place. He's clearly like lower class in some way than her, I think.
Yeah. He's the farm boy. She's
She's farmer Luke.
He's farmer Luke.
He's farmer Luke.
He's farmer Luke. She's Samantha.
She's Samantha.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's weird that it's like a kid's fantasy movie, but it's straight up from the beginning. It's like an epic love story of this person who's going to like, she thinks it's over and he's going to fight through hell and back to win her love again and be together again.
Mhm.
And then she is stuck. She's right now in a marriage to someone that she doesn't want to be with. That must have been most of human history.
Totally. I mean, that was dowries.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I'm sure so many royal marriages were just their power marriages.
Yeah.
So that one was more of a, I've plucked this gorgeous maiden from the and he says it. He's like, she is a commoner, but you will not recognize her as a common person. And then he brings her out.
Yeah.
So he just finds a beautiful woman and he's like, cool, this is my wife now. Yeah.
Which I know we do a lot of, because we've done a lot of like criticizing the Romeo and Juliet, or like Leopold and what is it?
Tristan and
Isolde, that it's like introduced romanticism.
Right. Yeah.
That is like, you can't put all of your chips on romanticism.
Right.
And that's kind of easy because we're in this, like, even like I when it came out, I read it, which Aziz's book that's like modern romance. And it's like, if we have so many choices, inconceivable. Dude, Aziz and Wallace Shawn are the same voice.
They're very close.
But there is like a lot of interesting modern romance discussions in that.
Yeah.
That I think go against that. It's like, hey, it's not everything to just be romantic.
Yeah.
But then also when you see like, and there's even things like when there's arranged marriages, like people are happier. And it's like, well, yeah, but you could also find tons of arranged marriages that are like, this fucking sucks.
I mean, yeah, it ends up being, yeah, it's there's not a hard and fast rule for either.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And I do think this is like, to end my rant, that I do think that this is like, they found this way to make a children's movie that has the meta narrative of being like, we're pulling out of the story in order to tell one of the most like old school grandest stories of love ever. That is just like that is like, yeah, this like person's going to fight for this. He's dead. She's over. They're both going to survive and then come back together and be like, we love each other. It's like the grand fight for love.
Yeah.
That is so over the top that it's like, you can't do it without being a little meta and winking at the camera, but they also don't wink at the camera. They did it in this other way.
Yeah.
Through this other story of the boy being like, this is gross, but then he's also excited to hear more of it. So that's like, I think just a really cool way they got to get away with telling this like story that's like 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
You
totally.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, well, I don't know. I was going to say, I think that they'll have some twists and turns with the romanticism. Maybe that's just classic romanticism, but I think it's a bigger story. It's just so well told. It's not just about the two of them.
Oh yeah.
So much about so many other things.
Yeah. And I think I don't remember much past this besides the giant rats and Billy Crystal's in it. When
Billy
Harry Met
Crystal.
Sally.
Yep. Well, the other crazy thing about this is Rob Reiner did this movie. The next movie he does after this is When Harry Met Sally with Billy Crystal, which is the greatest. Yeah, put it in the Pepe Silva web. It's the greatest rom-com of all time. I think you could probably say that.
I don't think there's a huge debate.
Yeah.
They say it's between that and Schindler's List.
Yeah. And I would think it wins. I would say that it wins that debate.
No, it's between that and, but no, it's like When Harry Met Sally
is the line "I'll have what she's having" is in both of those movies. The context is wildly different, but the lines in both of them. Yeah, totally.
I'll have what she's having. So yeah, I don't. Let's. The connections were, well, let's do real quick. We'll just read his filmography.
Yeah.
Which is
it's inconceivable.
It's truly inconceivable. This is Rob Reiner's filmography, film people. This is Spinal Tap.
Incredible movie.
And then he does a movie called The Sure Thing, but you know, we can just, it looks like, who's that? Henry Winkler, John Cusack movie. Okay. So we're going to skip over that. Listen, Spinal Tap, Stand By Me.
Incredible movie.
The Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm.
When Harry Met Sally.
Mm-hmm.
Misery.
Great movie.
That's called a rom whore.
That is a rom.
It's a romantic horror.
Yeah, totally.
Someone's so in love with you, they're going to fucking kidnap you.
And break your ankles. Yeah.
A Few Good Men.
Amazing.
And then The American President, another great movie, which was basically the prequel to West Wing.
Yeah.
So what a freaking run of movies, all leading up to When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. I mean, that's like one of the greatest runs in modern film history, I think.
Totally. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some crazy casting stuff. So Robin Wright Penn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Robin Wright Penn.
I was married to Sean Penn. I'm Robin Wright Penn.
Oh, I was in The Princess Bride. Oh, I had blonde hair. Oh.
Okay.
It's so funny when an impression is just, you know what it is. It's just, oh. Okay. Robin Wright Penn, also in House of Cards most recently, probably.
Yeah.
Other people that auditioned. So apparently she auditioned and was cast like a week before the movie started filming.
Okay.
other people who auditioned for her role, the role of the female lead in the rom-com. Give a guess.
Paul Rudd.
Yes, Paul Rudd.
No. I would say at that time.
Think
Sarah Jessica Parker up for that?
She was not.
Because honestly, I just guessed that because I'm like, that would have been in her maybe a little young.
But think rom-coms. Big rom-coms.
What's her name? Meg Ryan.
Yep. Meg Ryan.
Because and then he's like, I'll have you in my next film.
Yeah, exactly. She was in here. It's Meg Ryan. Uma Thurman.
Nice.
Courtney Cox.
Nice.
And get ready.
Laverne Cox?
Laverne Cox. Not Laverne Cox, but comedian in a little movie called Sister Act. Whoopi Goldberg? Whoopi Goldberg auditioned for the role of Buttercup.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Dude, but Sister Act.
Incredible movie. Yeah, totally. Rom-com because she's in love with God.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Danny DeVito was, of course, considered for the role of...
for Wallace Shawn.
Wow. And then who do you think was considered for Andre the Giant? Actually, no, he's not a wrestler. He was a bodybuilder.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger's considered for that. Yeah, totally.
Well, that's another thing that's more casting, but it's like, what a cool...
oh my gosh, wait, guess who else was?
Who?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Dude, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in the basketball Ernest movie.
Ernest plays basketball or something?
Don't misuse the shoes. Dude, it's like a Faustian bargain that like he has these shoes and you can't.
It's called Don't Misuse the Shoes.
No, but that's like a thing. That was my friend Matthew Buchanan, like our favorite movie of all time. And like, I lost touch with Matthew for like 15 years. We were best friends. Then we moved away and we still like, we'll get a beer and be like, catch up and be like, hey man, it's cool you had kids. And like, there's never that way to like reconnect with like, we were best friends.
Get him to subscribe to the Patreon.
And
that would be the best way to do it.
And, but he'll still text me occasionally, like, don't misuse the shoes. And it's the greatest thing ever. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was definitely in it's called Slam Dunk Ernest, the hilariously high-scoring comedy. It's Showtime fun when Ernest teams up with NBA All-Star Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let's find out when so that movie came out in 1995. So it doesn't make sense because this is 1987. I was thinking I was in my best friend's wedding brain just now. But Ernest P. Worrell.
Someone else, Liam Neeson also auditioned for the Arnold Schwarzenegger role.
Wow.
Not Arnold Schwarzenegger, Andre the Giant, but they wanted a tall actor. But
interesting. Amazing
cast so far. Incredible cast.
Amazing cast. And then also the like kind of the main henchman who's going to be sent out is the person who wrote Spinal Tap.
Yeah, Christopher Guest.
And made A Mighty Wind.
Yep.
And
Best in Show.
The best one. What's the other one we're missing? It's my favorite one.
The first one?
No.
Waiting for Guffman?
Waiting for Guffman. Yeah. Waiting for Guffman, but also A Mighty Wind was maybe the most influential on me because that's the one I saw just as it came out.
Yeah.
But damn, those movies are so...
Yeah.
Like, and then Spinal Tap was a few before this, and that's like, it wasn't the first mockumentary, but it's like the most influential mockumentary, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's just like all coming together in this time where like people were down to make cool, weird movies and that's what's cool about the casting, that it's not just like, man, all these people, because that happens with certain movies where you're like, all these famous people. This was like creativity in casting that you're like, let's get this weird guy over here.
Let's get this professional wrestler.
So, like Wallace Shawn wrote plays that were like banned due to like sexual deviance, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's like, he was a Hollywood person, but I think this put him like he would be the T-Rex in Toy Story if it weren't for this movie.
Totally.
And there's no way that And he like wrote all these plays, one of which John Early did like 3 years ago in Bushwick. He directed it with a trans cast. And it's like one of Wallace Shawn's like very early plays. And then he posted about it on his Instagram. But John Early, who's a brilliant, hilarious comedian, Wallace Shawn like came to their play. So
oh, really? Wow.
yeah. So Wallace Shawn is like a fucking weird ass art film playwright who's had his plays banned from countries because they're like sexually deviant.
Yeah.
And he's one of the most memorable Disney film child characters of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a weird thing when you see someone who's like incredibly memorable. I mean, he's just a memorable person from his look and the way he speaks.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, that's an actor, I guess, you know?
But there's not.
Mandy Patinkin was married to a horse for 6 years. I mean, that's like a little known fact. That was
People don't know that.
first marriage. Yeah, totally.
But do you know what I mean? That it's like everyone's teeth are the same now because everyone gets
Right.
and it's like you see that person, you're like, how did that person with that lisp, you're bald,
Totally.
which honestly, that sort of fucking discrimination in casting needs to stop. No, but he's a weird fucking person. So he's so memorable in your head because you're like, who is this?
Yeah, totally.
It's inconceivable that he would be cast in this film.
I wonder who would be a Wallace Shawn of the day currently.
I don't know. Like I saw in what's it called? The Harry Potter movies. The one guy, Dan Fogler. He,
oh yeah,
like,
Dan Fogler. Yeah.
and he's very successful and he's very good, but it's like, but he's so good looking and like, he's like, there's so many people that are
I feel like Dan Fogler, if I'm trying to think of a good example of a Dan Fogler.
he's a handsome guy.
Yeah, there was a movie about ping pong that he was in years ago. Oh, and it was like something, the tagline was something about your balls. But he has been in a lot of things. You would recognize Dan Fogler, but I feel like he was like someone who was kind of like a Jack Black type. But you're right, he's a handsome guy. He has a handsome actor look to him.
Well, and then also I feel like Josh Gad is like,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, you know, what's crazy is I think you're right. I think Josh Gad would be like a Wallace Shawn type in the sense of like a quirky, funny guy, but you're right. Completely different type of person and look.
yeah. And Wallace Shawn is like on the spectrum of weird that it's like you call him in and then you go with someone else.
Absolutely. But I wonder if that's because film has changed in the past 25 years. That like I bet, I'm not sure, but I bet like in a big budget movie like this, it'd be like, because of social media or whatever, it would be like this actor, they're casting him in this big thing and someone would like possibly raise a stink because of like plays about sexual perversity. Like, I feel like someone could get canceled out of a film or something like that.
100%.
You know,
100%. And also I think like,
or they would just want to drop out because they're like, I don't want to be around these people or something like that.
I think bald, he's the most bald person ever in cinema. Find a more bald person than Wallace Shawn.
Well, he's got hair on the sides of his head.
That's more bald. You have to have the sides of your hair like that to truly be bald. You can't shave those.
Is Christopher Lloyd bald?
In Back to the Future?
He's not in Back to the Future.
No. Find me a balder person than
Patrick Stewart.
No, he shaves the side of his head. And he doesn't play, and he plays a captain in a way.
Okay, hold on. You're throwing out a lot of caveats to your definition that you're making up in your head right now.
He's the baldest person in cinema.
Okay.
Wallace Shawn.
The funny thing is, I was on board with you until you said that to me and started smiling, and I realized you're making this up as you're going along.
No, I'm recommitting to it. He's the baldest.
Doubling down on my argument.
Tell me a balder person in cinema.
First of all, define what you're talking about.
I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. You can't shave.
I'll say this. It's on you right now.
Shaving your head on the side makes you look cool and more badass.
Okay.
So you have to have, so him having the halo and the fryer is important to be the baldest person in cinema. Okay? You can't be Bruce Willis and shave your head and be in Die Hard.
You're talking about like a handsomeness aspect.
No, I'm not talking about handsomeness aspect. I'm talking about, tell me a balder person in cinema, and being bald does not involve having less hair.
Well, that's okay. Jason Alexander.
There you go.
What about him?
He's a great argument.
There you go. Okay. Can we move on to another point? You had your fun. That was like essentially. Let me tell you what just happened. You're at a basketball court. A lot of people are playing a game on one-on-one. Someone gives you the ball. You do a ton of fancy dribbling, and then you go up to a guy who maybe played pro or semi-pro basketball, played college, and you were just like, watch this between the legs. Look at this. Oh, yeah. You see this? And then you go up for a shot, and he just smacks it away, and you're like, all right, cool. Let's move on.
I just did all of the fancy sword work in Indiana Jones,
Exactly.
and then you got out the gun.
I got a gun.
And in my defense,
Sure.
Yes, I used to talk about in one of my stand-up jokes how important it was to see George and Seinfeld.
I remember.
Okay,
I see your point.
He's a great cast. I was having fun, but he's a great
I see
cast.
your point, and I will say this to your point. As I looked up bald actors, there's a list of bald actors, and it is a lot of, like, you see Terry Crews. You see even Woody Harrelson, Ed Harris, J.K. Simmons, although he does have a little hair on the side depending on the role. Billy Zane, strong bald head.
Yeah, but he wasn't in Titanic. He had full head. I don't know if that's a wig.
It's got to be a wig.
Because it's like, how'd you lose all that hair so quick?
Yeah, exactly. Statham, Dean Norris of Breaking Bad. All these guys have full body.
Every character in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, exactly.
There was not a single fucking follicle within a mile of the set of Breaking Bad.
That is true.
Stanley Tucci.
Yeah.
Dude, none of these people are bringing the baldness.
Vern Troyer.
None of these people are bringing the baldness to the table that George of Pretty Woman and
DeVito is bringing it. DeVito's baldness now is.
He's the baldest man in cinema.
Wow. Keaton is somehow pulling off both.
Dude, Michael Keaton is fucking sick.
Yeah. Okay.
As absurd as I was being, though, you get what I mean?
I know what you're saying. It's a different kind of baldness. It's played for comedy, and he does it. It's not like it's played for comedy, but it's not played for handsomeness.
And isn't it cool that Andre the Giant is the same way, that it's like you could have Schwarzenegger, but instead you got this one person that's like, maybe they did another movie, but not as big as this. And so there's this uniqueness of like, what the fuck am I watching?
Also, this isn't the movie you would like peg Arnold. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Andre the Giant's going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so between that and then like the humor, and then I do think if you take away the grand scope of the romance of the film, it is just a bunch of like bits.
Yeah.
And good casting. So it's kind of the marriage. And I don't know, I would actually love to go listen to some interviews if they knew it would, because I get a feeling that they knew they were telling an epic, important story, that it wasn't just like, we didn't think anyone, because it's almost so old school. And then they had to like execute it in kind of a punk rock way. That's like, yeah, we didn't want any of these actors. Yeah. We got our fourth choice in every one. And that's what ends up adding to the mystique of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could see that for some of it. I think it was intentional with a lot of them. I think it was definitely intentional. I think it's just like you're making a stew and all the things that you put into it work really, really well. And it's not just full on Hollywood.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is full. It is a full on Hollywood movie, but it's not exactly who you would pick for all the things, which is why it's such a great movie.
What'd you say about the budget?
So the budget was 16 million, which sounds like a ton of money, but
No, it doesn't.
well, I was going to say, if you're unfamiliar with movie budgets, it's like $16 million. That's not a lot of money at all.
Even at that time, I don't think.
No, I mean, I'm going to look up, let's see, it was made in 1987. So 1987
because
movies. Let's just look that up.
I guess with the budget, it feels like, hey,
Feels like it would be way more.
Yeah.
Totally.
you were making a 16. Yeah, that it's like those constraints added to the creativity of the film, I guess.
Totally. Let's look up Adventures in Babysitting was that movie. Wow, that one's going to be a lower budget for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Good Morning Vietnam was that year. Let's
All
look
right.
up that budget. Okay.
so with where we are at the end of the film right now, Buttercup is still no, she's been saved, but she doesn't know that Wesley is going to that Wesley is the person behind the mask, because he has a mask right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I remember is the rats. That's all I have.
The rats come up. There's the classic thing coming up where.
Well, I don't want to know any more about what's coming up.
Okay.
I was just getting to where we're at now.
There's such a good callback coming up.
Yeah.
You've seen it before.
I've seen the film before. I just don't remember it. Besides,
You don't want to remember it now.
And I know Billy Crystal's in it. No, I don't. I want to know the budget at the time. And then,
Good Morning Vietnam is 13 million. So
so it's like an epic Disney fantasy film, and then kind of just like an adult drama, or the same budget.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up Moonstruck.
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck's gotta be Moonstruck was 15 million.
Yeah.
And it is way less. So I feel like it's more that they really got their money's worth for this.
Yeah.
You could see that it would be way more.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's like a movie like anything else. Like, yeah, we make these we make $20 million movies all the time.
Yeah.
$15 million is how much we make a movie. And, but Moonstruck holds up.
Yeah, we should do Moonstruck sometime.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop was also that year. Oh man, The Untouchables.
What was that budget?
Let's look it up. Beverly Hills Cop 2, actually.
But yeah, go listen to our Patreon. Go give us a review. We're going to come back with John and listen to Princess Bride 2, part 2. We're going to get deeper into love. I feel like there's some things we can talk about with the book of what the story was, because I was reading some things about it. That was what was the budget?
20 million was Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Okay. See, that's it. There's just, that's it. Those movies don't get made anymore.
Yeah,
Matt
for
Damon. I heard an interview with Matt Damon about that.
What did he say?
He said they don't make $20 million movies.
And then he was like, just give a lot of money to water in the world or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But they make like $100 million movies and try and make $1 billion rather than spend 20 and all the people's time and energy. Like bigger actors, their time and energy gets sucked into making a place $50 million when you could make this much. So it's crazy that a movie as epic as this, that if it was made nowadays would be $150 million, and it'd be like the fantasy film of the summer.
Yeah. Well, I think that it was like at the time, this movie was probably like not. It wasn't going to be like the biggest film ever made. It was just like, we're doing a very cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think now, like, yeah, things are way more touted as something like that. How do you think you go from like this movie to When Harry Met Sally? Because my thought would be, you tried to cast Meg Ryan. You already Ryder Trucks. You already have
The porn parody featuring Meg Ryan
exactly.
and Billy Dickstall.
Exactly. Can't think of anything else. And then you have Billy Crystal in the movie already, and you think, I just did this giant fantasy movie. I want to do a smaller story relationship drama, or drama comedy.
Yeah.
And I already have these two people. I wonder if there's anybody else in When Harry Met Sally from Princess Bride.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I think Wallace Shawn plays the old woman at Katz's.
Yeah. Ooh, that's Rob Reiner's mom.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, I do think when you look at movies, it's like funny to realize this, but Princess Bride doesn't necessarily apply, but you can imagine like how important an elevator pitch was, because you're just like, with so many movies, it's just like, all right, they've been in love forever, but they can't, and it's just right there compared to with a TV show like Sex and the City. It's like all the lives of four ladies, like that's not a movie. The movie would just be like, there's a guy with a furniture store and there's this like big thing and she has to fit. It would all be, and there'd be one scene with each of Cynthia Nixon and Kristen Davison.
Yeah.
And instead in a movie you get to, or in a movie you have the plot driving you forward, and with a TV you're kind of creating a pastiche of different stories.
Yeah, totally.
So it's interesting. So you can kind of just see that it's like, oh, you did these, you have a few great films out there. Like, why don't you make this? There's this great script from this person, and it's all about friends and will they, won't they?
Yeah. Totally.
Which is just interesting to see it in a person's like filmography of what you have this big success and then what they followed up with. And they must know, they're like, oh, this will be big. We'll get these two people.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know you want this person, but Billy Crystal, he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
He's, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that if When Harry Met Sally was a TV show, it would be
not good.
They would be together, and then they would break up at the end of the first season. Then they'd be friends at the beginning of the second, and they would try to date, and then one of them would break it off, and then the entire third season they wouldn't be together, and then fourth season they would like be playing will they, won't they, and they would be together in the fifth, and then like they would have some sort of like it would be like a Jim and Pam thing.
Yeah,
where it's like, are they going to get together? Are they not? And
yeah, you're kind of right. Jim and Pam. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Jim and Pam eventually had to be like, Jim and Pam are together. Now they have a baby. And now you start to focus on the other things just to like keep the show going, which is like a very American TV show thing.
Yeah. Let's end now. We're going to do the next part of this, and it gets us into interesting Rob Reiner things in movie making, but we'll do the next Princess Bride and keep on going with this movie and bring John into it, who will be super hyped about it.
Yeah. Sign up on the Patreon, listen to other things, send us what movies you want us to do, and we will continue with Princess Bride Part 2 when we return from this.
Later, taters.
Later.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Kevin, Kevin James Doyle, and John Sieber. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balin, and narrated by Katie Sieber. This podcast is part of the Seltzer Kings Network. Check out all their great podcasts at seltzerkings.com. You can find the boys on their socials at The Bradshaw Boys or on their website at thebradshawboys.com. And as always, if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.